Why were you crying?
Oh my gosh, I saw the well, we didn't even see.
Overwhelming.
We didn't even see,
It's
but I saw the
overwhelming.
logo and I went, that's my name. Snow White's up there, and I cried my eyes out.
Things can become rather tangled when a Disney classic and current controversy clash. However, none anticipated the emotional backlash Rachel Zegler would experience after South Park's parody of Disney's live-action Snow White. How much of an effect did this have on Rachel's trip, then? Is Snow White a sarcastic joke that went too far, or is it a commentary on Hollywood's current direction? Rachel Zegler was largely unknown just a few years ago, yet her ascent to popularity seems like it might have been written for Hollywood. She made her debut in West Side Story, one of the most anticipated films of the decade, directed by none other than Steven Spielberg. As Maria, this Clifton, New Jersey high school theatrical star was a wonderful fit, and her brilliance was evident. Spielberg found more than simply a performer, he found Rachel, who contributed her voice and distinct personality to the part. It's amazing to see how rapidly public opinion may change as Rachel negotiates the highs and lows of celebrity, particularly in the volatile realm of Hollywood. The way South Park made fun of her character begs the issue of how to strike a balance between respect for artists who are attempting to establish themselves in comedy. Rachel's story serves as a reminder that being famous is seldom easy, and that the attention that comes with it may sometimes eclipse the extraordinary skill that goes along with the name. As we begin this continuing discussion, it is crucial to take into account how these experiences influence an artist's identity in addition to their job. More than 30,000 actresses competed for the part in a countrywide search. Indeed, 30,000 is equivalent to packing a small stadium with hopefuls, and Zegler was the one who caught Spielberg's eye with her outstanding performance as Maria. Any actress would assume that landing the main role in a Disney live-action adaptation would be a dream come true, but Rachel Zegler didn't exactly experience that. She created quite a sensation when Disney revealed her as Snow White in 2021. After all, a Latina actress was playing a role that has traditionally been associated with a fair-skinned woman, with lips that are red as a rose and skin that is white as snow. Why did this casting decision generate so much fuss, even though it paved the way for her next major role? Some saw it as a daring and essential step toward more diversity and inclusion in Hollywood. However, others weren't very excited about it. Disney remakes are known to cause controversy, let's face it. Many critics said that Disney was deviating too far from the cherished original, while other fans praised the firm for adopting a more inclusive vision. Online arguments sprang out about whether this was simply another instance of Hollywood making an excessive effort to be woke. Some believe that Disney was endangering the charm that has enchanted viewers for decades by making too many changes to the original Snow White. As is often the case with well-loved childhood favorites, concerns began to surface: is this the same Snow White that we knew as children? When something has been so successful for so long, why tamper with it? Rachel was put in a predicament that she probably didn't anticipate. Disney made it apparent that this wasn't your grandmother's Snow White, so it wasn't just about her casting. This new Snow White would represent action, power, and independence rather than being a passive princess who waits for a man to rescue her. It was a novel approach that combined one of Disney's most enduring characters with contemporary feminist principles. A lively discussion on what it means to adapt ancient tales for a new age was spurred by Rachel's casting. Update: a classic for the 21st century. Why should the whole Snow White motif be changed? It served as a focal point for far larger cultural discussions. Snow White's remake and criticism for incorporating contemporary feminism into a beloved play. Isn't it fascinating how some things just irritate people? When Disney decided to update Snow White for a 21st century audience, that is precisely what occurred. Their goal was to increase her relevance and relatability. In this revised rendition, Snow White becomes a warrior of her tale, emphasizing leadership above romantic fantasies. As you may guess, not everyone was happy with this change. Disney's decision to abandon antiquated tropes excited some fans, who rejoiced that Snow White's beauty and powerlessness would no longer define her. She needs some agency, don't you think? Others, however, weren't at all on board. They saw this shift as simply another instance of Disney's overt attempts to be woke, as if they were imposing contemporary values on a beloved story that was never meant to go there. Snow White was pure and lovely, after all, and she was only waiting for the kiss of true love to lift her curse. Now she wouldn't even need a prince in this updated version. It's difficult to strike the correct balance between respecting the past and moving forward. Some felt deceived by the lack of Prince Charming and the famous kiss of pure love, while die-hard fans felt as if they were losing the figure they had always adored. Now, what exactly is this new Snow White, they pondered. Disney was criticized for deviating too much from the original plot, but they were also commended for giving her a more powerful feminist makeover. And South Park comes next. South Park, which is well known for its unrestrained comedy, enjoys controversy and doesn't hesitate to address it directly. It was inevitable that South Park would target Disney's live-action Snow White with its sarcastic comedy once it began to get attention. They made light of Disney's efforts to update its classics in a recent episode, specifically criticizing what some perceived to be the company's progressive agenda. The authors made fun of how far Disney has gone in modernizing its classic tales, sometimes to the detriment of devoted followers. Rachel Zegler was suddenly at the epicenter of this maelstrom of satire. In addition to having an impact on the movie, the casting changes had unanticipated effects on public discourse. For Zegler, who has previously been criticized, what does this mean? It seemed as if the criticism was spreading beyond the film as the story around her casting became entangled with South Park's scathing remarks. It was about how the 22-year-old actress, whether she wanted to or not, became the face of a far more significant argument. If there's one thing you can always rely on, it's South Park's satire. South Park has been ridiculing everything for more than 20 years, including politicians, celebrities, and social movements. They have recently targeted Disney's efforts to modernize its classics, presenting the firm as more concerned with advancing a progressive cause than with amusing. They attacked Rachel Zegler, the new Snow White face, in the show and exaggerated Disney's efforts to promote diversity and contemporary values to a ridiculous degree. South Park, which is well known for its incisive, socially critical comedy, doesn't hold back, even when it makes fun of genuine individuals like Zegler, a 22-year-old novice to the field. Discussions around representation in Hollywood and whether treasured classics should be updated for the current day were sparked by the debate surrounding Disney's purportedly woke remakes. While some viewers believed Zegler deserved it, others felt sorry for her. However, what is the true story? Rachel Zegler's emotional response to the scathing satire of South Park. Given that she had previously been the target of constant criticism, she saw it as a personal assault. She rushed to social media to explain how strongly it impacted her, expressing both her anguish and indignation, as it seemed like the final straw. Sadly, she didn't conceal the fact that the intense public scrutiny had begun to negatively impact her mental health. It wasn't only about South Park or even Snow White anymore. The strain of fame was too much, and Zegler, who was just 22 years old, was beginning to exhibit signs of weakness. Rachel revealed. Rachel Zegler spoke candidly on the draining reality of always being in the limelight when every decision, statement, and action is closely watched in one especially moving piece. She spoke on how difficult it has been to strike a balance between her delight at winning this important job and the constant barrage of hate. Can you picture landing your ideal position at last, only to have everyone be critical of it? Some admirers weren't as understanding, even though many supported her and praised her candor. Zegler's emotional response was seen by some as a sign of weakness, casting doubt on her ability to cope with the demands of being a top actor. Let's take a step back, however. Given the controversial nature of the project, several people questioned if she has the forbearance required in Hollywood. Actors must handle a variety of stresses without breaking a sweat in the often harsh business. There are high expectations associated with being in the spotlight at such a young age. Red carpets, glamorous premieres, and devoted followers are just a few of the benefits that come with celebrity, but there are also a lot of negative aspects. The stakes are very high for Zegler. She is more than simply the lead in a Disney movie. She is now the spokesperson for Hollywood's drive for a more progressive storyline, which inevitably draws a lot of attention. Social media may have both positive and negative effects. Celebrities like Zegler are subjected to severe criticism, but it also gives them a way to interact with their followers. Zegler hasn't given up despite the criticism and the toll it has taken on her. Her followers now find her much more sympathetic as a result of her emotional reaction. Every Instagram picture, tweet, and remark is scrutinized and often made into a headline for someone in her position. The harshest criticism may sometimes come from fans themselves, and this never-ending feedback cycle can seem overwhelming. In an industry that often demands its stars to be perfect, this young star isn't scared to express weakness by acknowledging that she's having difficulties. She feels more human to many because of her honesty. One must question what this means for her future in Hollywood and how it will affect the next stage of her career as the discussion around her public breakdown rages on. Zegler has shown us how difficult it can be to negotiate the complexities of fame, which isn't always attractive. Let's now discuss South Park. Since pushing limits is in their DNA, this program has attacked everyone throughout the years, including social movements, politicians, and celebrities. A crucial issue is brought up by this latest episode, which parodies Disney's Snow White. At what point does satire cease to be satire and begin to seem like a personal attack? The distinctive style of South Park, which has always struck a careful balance between comedy and savagery, is what draws viewers in. However, in this instance, the program appeared to veer into something more personal for Rachel Zegler, who was already coping with waves of criticism. Even though the show didn't specifically identify her, it didn't seem like simply another lighthearted dig at pop culture. The relationship, however, could not be ignored. Zegler's character and all she stood for seemed to be directly attacked by the derision of Disney's progressive version. This is when the situation becomes complex. Some claim that it's only comedy since South Park is notorious for making fun of everything. However, others question if this was more about kicking someone in the face than it was about satire. Remember that months before this program aired, Zegler had already been the target of public criticism? She was under a lot of strain, particularly because of the Snow White update, her casting, and her public remarks on feminism. Was there anything more serious going on here, or was this simply bad timing? This leads to a broader discussion on culture. Disney's efforts to promote diversity and representation are seen by some as an essential development. It's past time for Hollywood to remedy the historical lack of chances for women of color and other oppressed groups. Others, however, have a different opinion, arguing that Disney is overcorrecting and making an excessive effort to be politically correct at the price of cherished characters and timeless tales. For its part, South Park has never held back when criticizing what it perceives to be Hollywood's fixation with being woke. The authors didn't like Disney's new approach, but having a Latina actress portray Snow White is a significant step toward more inclusive storytelling. They also struck a chord with many who believe that the entertainment sector is veering off course, making these adjustments seem hurried and outdated. The show, which sparked a lot of discussion, was essentially a crude swipe at Disney's efforts to update a traditional fairy tale. On the one side, there is the group that supports Disney's attempts to increase diversity in the media, arguing that it's past time for Hollywood to stop using archaic, limited depictions of the world and instead start representing the reality of our lives. For others, Zegler's casting was a daring, forward-thinking decision that demonstrated Disney was at last adapting to the times. However, there is also a loud group that believes Disney is going too far, contending that the timeless charm of classic tales is being undermined by the repeated updating to suit contemporary values. South Park doesn't hold back when it intervenes, mocking what it perceives to be Disney's extreme political correctness. Some find it amusing, while others see it as needless bullying. Even if it wasn't the objective, the episode seemed like a jab at Zegler herself in addition to making fun of Disney's decisions. In today's social media-driven world, the Snow White remake came to represent the challenging environment that young performers encounter in Hollywood, where the stakes are high, criticism is intense, and every part, remark, and joke has the potential to provoke cultural controversy. The issue of whether Zegler's reaction was reasonable given the circumstances or whether it came off as excessive is raised by South Park's satire and Zegler's response, which have sparked larger discussions about Hollywood's future. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and remember to click the bell, like, and subscribe for more on the most significant scandals in Hollywood.